Canadian professor David Haskell delivers damning report on DEI training, divisive, counterproductive, and unnecessary. Quote, under the influence of DEI, the world can become more divisive, a more divisive, hostile place, he warned. But I mean, this is all obvious stuff that we already knew, isn't it? As well, like, it's not at all surprising. DEI does have an impact, but it's not positive. How can the thing that divides everybody by identity and designates people oppressed and oppressor, how can that not be divisive and insane? I mean, this is the thing that every corporation institution wears like a straitjacket right now because it's dysfunctional. It makes them look crazy when you see what they're actually teaching. The Aristotle Foundation released a damning new report authored by Wilfrid Laurier University, Ontario Associate Professor David Haskell, that examines existing research to determine whether diversity, equity, and inclusion training actually leads to better outcomes and less bigotry. There's no way that it could. It's impossible, right? Because in DEI, there are good guys and there's bad guys. I think we know who the bad guys are. And it's not decided by merit or whether you're actually a good person or not, right? It's decided by like this artificial grading system that actually has nothing to do with you as an individual human, but by these obviously contrived, what do you call ideological purity tests? But it's not even just ideological purity tests. It's actual racial purity tests. Because they think they know everything they need to know about you just by looking at you, which is just truly. I remember like when I was like 30, the idea that this would have like there'd be like affinity groups, which is racial segregation. Everything that we're saying, I would not have believed it. I thought we were, going into like Star Trek: The Next Generation, but not communist. After an exhaustive review of DEI-related studies published by the world's top social scientific journals, Haskell concluded that far from bringing benefit to those who partake, such instruction was actually divisive, counterproductive, and unnecessary. Yeah, I think if you just kind of leave people alone, they'll find a way to get along, generally. If you don't like introduce, ideas, concepts, or almost kind of rules that you have to view people through a certain lens, an artificial lens. You can't just trust your own good judgment. No, there's all these rules. There's all these microaggressions and things that might offend somebody. And then obviously you can't forget about all that privilege, all that important privilege. The privilege that those people have, where they're not allowed to actually defend themselves or else they're racist. Yeah, that's not going to cause any resentment. Haskell began by recalling the sad tale of Toronto principal Richard Bilkstow. Oh, I've never been able to pronounce this. Bilkstow. And I remember this case, who killed himself following backlash he received at a DEI training session for questioning the instructor's claims, saying his case, quote, draws our attention to the potentially negative nature of this instruction that is now ubiquitously conducted, usually as a mandatory exercise in most corporations, educational systems, and government agencies. And obviously it's going to drive people to despair because there's no way to win. Like, you can't win it. You're always guilty. There's nothing you can do. You can never be woke enough or an ally enough to be equal. You'll always be seen as the oppressor and therefore the bad person, and you have to sit down and shut up and do what you're fucking told and repeat the lies they tell you to repeat. I mean, that is a hell. That's my idea of hell, being stuck in that and not being able to get out. He went on to cite from a meta-analysis conducted by Princeton's Elizabeth Pollock that concluded there was, quote, little evidence that instruction in diversity, equity, and inclusion works to decrease prejudice. No, it's going to reinforce it. When you're literally telling people they are different based on their skin color. I mean, how is that not How is that not going to enforce stereotypes? Let's see. He also highlighted research that showed DEI training can, quote, lead participants to perceive the majority population less sympathetically. Oh, do you think telling them to hate them? And they have this invisible magic thing called privilege. Do you think that might have something to do with it? Noting that as a result, some Caucasian job applicants perceive companies that, quote, heavily promote messages of diversity and inclusion as potentially discriminatory work environments. That's because they actually are. They're designed to be discriminatory. That's the whole point of them. Any system that tells you people are different based on race or sex or sexuality or whatever is intentionally discriminatory. That's the point. It can't be anything else. It can't do anything else. It has to be that. It's intended. It's the whole damn point. It's complete madness. Complete madness. We say it over and over again, and yet it persists. But I am not black-pilled. I'm white-pilled. I think this is going to go. Quote, organic diversity, where individuals of all colors, creed, and ancestry are free to flourish within a Canadian mosaic that values everyone equally, is a good thing. And we used to understand that not that long ago. What my review of the literature shows is that DEI instruction does not promote that kind of society. Under the influence of DEI, the world can become a more divisive, hostile place. Well, it's happening, and it can't do anything else. What could be more obvious than that? It's going to do exactly what it's designed to do, which is cause division and make people hate each other, in the hopes of the people who cooked up all of this gibberish that it will lead to the destruction of Western civilization, to the burning down of our civilization, so they can build up their Marxist utopia in the ashes. And I think we know how Marxist utopias go, right?